In the last week, since, of course, the death of Charlie Kirk, we have seen a clampdown on the rights of American citizens. We have seen our freedom of speech under attack, something that even MAGA is adamantly and very vocally against. We have seen people lose their jobs, professors kicked out of universities, Jimmy Kimmel, of course, getting fired. Not really fired, but he's basically fired. But one of the worst things we have seen are the attacks on an already marginalized community here in the United States, transgender individuals. They're already more likely than the rest of us to be the victims of violent crime, not commit violent crime, to be the victims of violent crime. And every step of the way, Republicans, since the moment Charlie Kirk died, have been trying to pin that tragedy on the transgender community, which just ain't happening, right? First it was that the shooter's trans. No. Well, the bullets said, no, those were gamer tags. Well, the roommate is transgender, and so that's... None of it is really fleshed out the way that Republicans wanted it to, but it doesn't matter because the messaging did. Most of us understand that they are just trying to pin this on an already marginalized community. MAGA, on the other hand, believes that it's time to go scorched earth against transgender individuals. And this week, multiple different Republican lawmakers called for these people to be institutionalized. Let me read you this. This is from The Advocate. First, South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace, who has a history of vehement opposition, to transgender people in Congress, called for the institutionalization of transgender people in a street interview where she hurled slurs at the community. She first stated of the shooter's partner, it was a transgender, it was a, she says, tranny, which of course is a derogatory term. When she was asked how she would feel if she were called names the way she calls transgender people, she said, these people are violently ill and should be in a straitjacket with a hard steel lock on it. Then on Newsmax, Representative Ronny Jackson, former White House physician and Texas congressman, was asked if, quote, bringing back mental institutions could be on the table. He responded by saying that transgender people have, quote, legitimate psychiatric issues. We have to do something about this. We have to treat these people. We have to get them off the streets, and we have to get them off the internet, and we can't let them communicate with one another. I'm all about free speech, but this is a virus. This is a cancer that is spreading across the country. He also stated in another portion of the interview that transgender people are a, quote, group of domestic terrorists that, quote, have been bred by the progressives and the liberal media. Then how do you explain transgenderism going back to basically, the beginning of recorded history? There are incidents, documented incidents of gender dysphoria in ancient Egypt, in ancient Rome, in medieval times. All throughout documented, recorded human history, this has existed. Homosexuality has existed throughout this entire time. And yes, it is seen among other species in the animal kingdom. For all the conservatives are like, well, human beings are the only ones who do it. No, they're not. Absolutely not. So, you guys are blaming this on the liberal media. Tell me, what was the liberal media like back in ancient Rome, right? All these progressive influencers running around Rome, right? Is that a thing? Ancient Greece, the ancient Egyptians, those darn progressive influencers there? No. This has existed basically forever. And you're now calling it a mental illness. I shouldn't say now calling it a mental illness, because this is actually how society used to view these people. The entire LGBTQ plus community was once viewed as mentally ill. There were videos they used to show in school. Maybe some of you have seen them online. Maybe some of you lived it. Old black and white films, they would show people in school talking about, homosexual and saying this person's mentally ill because they're attracted to the same sex. Transgender individuals did used to be institutionalized in some instances, simply for the gender dysphoria. And we're right back to that. When these people say, make America great again, they want to take us back to the 30s and 40s and 50s, where Black people were separated from us, where any member of the LGBTQ community could face a lockup for the rest of their lives, or possibly even a lobotomy, right? Just nothing but white people, white straight people running all around the streets. That's what they want. That's what they want. And they will use any excuse, no matter how flimsy it is, to achieve that goal, which is exactly what they are doing right now. Thanks for watching, everyone. You know, we're inching closer and closer to 1 million subscribers, and we're aiming to hit that goal before the year closes. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please do so, and don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thanks for joining us as we head towards this huge milestone.